and welcome to Day Home Divas. I'm Joanne.
I'm Cash.
And I'm Sophia.
This episode, we're talking with Jenna Phan, a sleep consultant here in Calgary. Welcome to the podcast, Jenna.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, as parents whose children are now adults, 25 and 30, I don't know if sleep consultants were a thing back then or not. So do you mind explaining first off, what is a sleep consultant?
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I do think that it's relatively new in the whole parenting space because even just like overhearing some ladies chat at a market I went to recently, they were saying like when they raised their kids, there was never anything like sleep consultants or wake windows. You just kind of struggled and you figured it out. And so, um,
Yep.
I love now that we have this profession, this expertise where parents can turn to for support so that they don't have to like turn to Google and try and figure it out on their own. So basically, when I'm trying to explain what a sleep consultant is, I would just say like a professional who provides advice, support, education, and encouragement as they help families to improve their child's sleep and kind of get to the root of where the problems are lying. So a lot of it is kind of like crunching all like the daytime information and data in regards to like naps and so many other factors play into sleep. And so a sleep consultant just takes in all that information, kind of accounts for their family situation and what their needs are, and then works to create a plan and help implement the plan with the family.
All right, nice. So instead of just going, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Do you go into people's homes?
So I personally don't, just because I have little
Okay.
kids and I am busy at bedtime with my littles, but most of my support is pretty much through phone calls and then virtual support through an app called Rested. So it's an awesome app that I use to track all of the sleep log information. And there's actually like a little chat feature in it and a document section so I can upload my client's sleep plan into the app. So it's super easy to reference everything in one space.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
and then we do phone calls to touch base, but I'm always like glued to my phone on night one and two for the support because I want to really be there and be present with my families as they're making big
Right.
changes.
Right.
For getting into the field, do you have to have any specific training or schooling? Because I'm not going to lie, I kind of wanted to do it at one point.
It's an excellent profession. I definitely love it. But yeah, there is definitely some education and some training. So I did my certification through Sleep Sense. There's lots of different certification programs that you can take, but I wanted something that had like a good backing and had a good history and had been around for a while. And so when I was looking, Sleep Sense kind of stuck out to me for those reasons. And so the program involves like a 3 month like deep study, and then you have like an internship essentially like where you work with a set number of families over a specific period of time, and then you're also paired with a mentor for a longer period of time, about a year I would say, if I remember correctly. I did my certification in 2020. Yeah, 2020, right around the time that COVID was kind of coming into play in the world. And so I was actually going to travel to Florida for my certification and do like a really intensive 3 day, and then you go home and do the rest kind of virtually and supporting your families and working with another consultant who's more experienced. Um,
Nice.
but obviously, COVID put a
Oh, yeah.
so I was set to do it in April of 2020. COVID obviously happened at the end of March, so that didn't go as planned. And so I thought, well, is this going to be like a big thing or is this going to blow over? We'll kind of see. And so I postponed to wait until July to do the course. And obviously, COVID wasn't going anywhere. So I decided to just move and pivot to the online version of the course. Um,
Right.
and actually, right around that time, I found out I was pregnant with my first baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot because I had quite a challenging pregnancy. I was very sick in my pregnancy. So I got all of my certification done. There's lots of like reading material and coursework to do and lots of seminars to tune into. But I didn't really get my business off the ground right initially because I was so sick in my pregnancy.
Right.
And so I really waited. I was waiting until my postpartum, but then that was unexpectedly challenging as well. So
Oh, no.
I got my business going a little bit later than I would have initially anticipated, but I'm really proud of like where it's grown to and all of the information I've gained and the experience I've gained by helping families. So yeah, there's different certification programs. You just kind of find what aligns with you and go from there. And I've really enjoyed it.
For your business, though, are you like independent or do you work with
Yeah,
anyone?
that's a great question. So I work independently. I have worked in like fields previously where I was part of like a team and I had like a manager or boss. And I appreciate that like style of work, but I really value the entrepreneurial like spirit of being able to kind of run your own business.
Like
Yes,
Yeah,
us.
just like you ladies.
yeah, we understand that for sure.
Yeah. And I find that like when I worked in like kind of a professional setting, I would give so much of my heart and it wasn't valued in the way that I would anticipate it would be valued. And so
Yeah,
being able to run my own business, I can pour my whole heart into my work and nobody is like degrading that or challenging that.
yeah,
So I love
yeah,
what I get to do. But I also feel really supported in my community because I am part of two like worldwide groups of sleep consultants, like paid kind of groups that I'm in. So if I do come across like a challenging case that I have people who are also doing the same work that I'm doing and have different experiences and different, maybe even trainings,
right.
certifications that I can bounce ideas off of, which is really nice.
Nice. So is there like courses that you can kind of continue to learn from and then, or
Mhm.
from like as your career progresses type thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely different like facets to sleep consulting that you can dive deeper in and take other courses to like learn more about. There's the course that I took was mainly pediatric sleep, but the same
Okay.
grouping that I'm in, they also offer an adult sleep certification. And so that's something that I could do in the future. Something that I've been more interested in is learning more about sleep with neurodivergent children or with disabilities, because
Yeah.
that can change the outlook of how sleep goes for a family
Oh, 100%.
drastically. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that is certification I've been like kind of considering and looking into, but I haven't committed to like one specific program for that. And then there's also like newborn care specialist courses that you can take as well. Yeah, so
Yeah,
lots of
I wish I knew this was, or I wish this was a thing when my kids were younger. My youngest son, he's ADHD, so autistic and ADHD. He
yeah.
didn't sleep through the night till he was like 8.
Oh my gosh,
So
so
it
exhausting.
would,
Too.
and I mean, I don't sleep at all. I'm neurodivergent myself, and I was up till 3 last night. I just do not sleep. So I did not know there was a thing for like sleep coaches for adults. I might have to look into that.
Yeah, yeah. There's some really like good, strong leaders in the adult sleep field. If you want any recommendations, I could definitely pass a name or two along. But yeah, it's really interesting that there is so many different variations that you can branch off into and always continue learning and growing in your field. So I really appreciate
Nice.
that. And so
So,
fun.
what ages of children do you work with?
So I personally take on from 4 months until about 5 years.
Oh,
I have been really interested lately in doing more of like a newborn focus as well. But when we look at newborn sleep, it's different in how we approach it. So we're not looking to like sleep train a newborn, but rather create like a healthy sleep environment and
Right.
help like foundation for sleep because newborns really do need a lot more settling and more effort to kind of get those good stretches of sleep. And it's just not developmentally like expected that they're going to sleep for long stretches. So you can
Right.
really range like 30 minutes to 2 hours and you have to wake them up for the next feed kind of situation. So
Yeah. My firstborn, when I had him, we were in the hospital for about a week. Like I had an emergency C-section and he was a little premature, but he didn't need to be in the NICU or anything like that. And the nurses would come in and they're like, he's been asleep for a long time. We need to wake him up. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, he needs to feed.
uh-huh.
But he would sleep for like, he'd sleep through the night basically from day one. And I was like, this is amazing. Why do people say it's so hard when they have a baby? This is great. And he was great. He never like he always slept like almost through the whole night since day one, like every day. And then when we had our youngest, or yeah, our youngest, I was like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah. I was gonna say
Like,
if
oh,
your first one's like a great sleeper, the second one humbles you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My first humbled me. And
Oh
then
no.
it was amazing, like just naturally self-soothing, self-settling.
Yeah.
But my first was definitely called out a lot for extra support, extra help, and it was really challenging because we faced challenges with sleep with her, but also with feeding, and she had some medical stuff too on
Oh
board.
no.
It was just like a lot of factors that kind of played into it, that made it so challenging.
Yeah.
But you definitely are always grateful when you get kind of that more naturally easy to soothe, easy to settle, easy to sleep kind of baby.
Yeah. And then they trick you and you're like, this is easy, I'll have another one. And you're like, what?
I know, that's how we got three.
Oh, no.
Our second was like such a breeze compared to our first. I was like, you know what? I could do this again.
Right? Oh goodness.
My first was easier than my second.
Yeah. Oh, and that's so
Yeah.
hard because you kind of go into it thinking like hopeful, like, okay, this is gonna be, I know what to expect. I X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like thrown a whole different scenario, a whole different baby, different personality. And personality
Yeah.
matters so much when it comes to sleep. People don't really consider
Oh.
that maybe so much, but a
Yeah,
baby's
I never would have thought of that.
yeah,
Huh.
baby's temperament is huge when it comes to like how well they sleep and how we take on sleep for a specific family.
Huh. Interesting.
Hmm.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
How kind of does a sleep consultant work, especially when you do it virtually, considering you don't go into the houses to actually help?
So I personally don't do in-home right now. It's not something that I've like crossed off my list for forever, but
Oh, for sure. I totally understand the whole being
yeah,
busy at night, but just
yes.
like your perspective of it.
Yeah, for sure. And there are some consultants that do go in-home. So if a family wanted that, that's definitely an option out there. So how I work with my families is the process that I kind of follow is like we will do like a discovery call to kind of get a feel if we would like to work with each other and if like our goals are kind of aligned. Yeah, if we get a good feeling about that. And then I send out a specific like questionnaire. So it's really like detailed and I get all the information that I personally would need to create a sleep plan for a family. And then after I get that back, I review it all and then I pull together a plan for a family. And then we have a Zoom meeting and take the opportunity to go through everything together and answer any questions that families have. So we really hit on like the key strategy, like action points, but I also give a lot of information during that Zoom meeting too. I never want to overwhelm my families, but I am very like information oriented and I love education. And that's like a huge part of why I love what I do. Um,
Right.
and I feel like if we know why we're doing something, it makes doing it actually a little bit easier.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Um, and so we review the plan, go over everything, and then I set them up with the Rested app. So I send them an invite for that, and we do like a little test communication, make sure we're like understanding how it all works and whatnot. And then we make a game plan to start night one and jump in to support and like creating action with the plan. And then I usually support my families for a little bit longer than most sleep consultants do. So a lot of consultants will do like a 2 week package, maybe 3 weeks. But I actually prefer to work with my families for 4 to 6 weeks on average.
Okay.
I do have a 2 week package that would work great for some families if like they've got like lots of things like in line and in place and whatnot. There's just like minor little tweaks and adjustments that we need to make and kind of like having that support through that. But I really find
Right.
that working together for 4 to 6 weeks, we go through life kind of together for that period of time. So like things that can disrupt sleep, like teething, sickness, maybe we're like kind of on the cusp of needing to do like a schedule change. So moving from like 3 naps to 2 naps, all of those kind of things we can tackle in that period of time so that when you finish your package with me, you're feeling super confident that you can handle all of the sleep challenges that will come up in the future. And so we work through like our chosen package, whether it's 2, 4, or 6 weeks together. And then I have like a final wrap up phone call that we do. And then I send an email too, kind of covering everything so that parents don't need to remember everything that we've discussed. So in that wrap up, we highlight some of the things that we've experienced together, some of the wins, some of the challenges, and then I give them kind of an idea of what to expect going forward when it comes to sleep, some future
Right.
changes that might kind of come up, and then yeah, I send all of that over in an email. And then of course, throughout like our time that we're working together, we have like scheduled phone calls too, worked into the package support. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I feel like we could cover so much more over a phone call than we can cover like through texting on an app.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So, what are the signs that a parent should consider contacting a sleep consultant?
That's a great question. I honestly would say that there's like no good or bad when it comes to sleep. It's just what feels sustainable for a family. So I would say it's a good idea to reach out to a sleep consultant if you're feeling like your sleep situation is unsustainable for where things are at right now and like looking long term. So for some families, like feeding to sleep, co-sleeping, all of those things are like sustainable in a moment, but then sometimes like things will shift or adjust, and then it feels like it's not sustainable any longer. So that would be where I would say, okay, that's a great time to like look at making some changes with sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no pressure. Like, I feel like in the sleep training culture, there's so much pressure to sleep train or to do it a specific way. And there's so much like adversity against cry it out. And I mean, understandably so. And it kind of leaves like sleep training with like a bad taste in people's mouth, like when they think about sleep training, because they
Right.
all cry it out. And that's certainly not the case. So I would say there's no need to change anything. If what families are doing is working for them, then just keep on at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so do you find that kids that have a lot of extra activities in the evening struggle with sleeping? And I know we're talking about younger children, so they don't have very many
Mhm.
activities, but they likely have older siblings who have a lot of activities and life can get really busy and there's no bedtime or they go to bed later. Do kids struggle with that? Do they need that consistency
It-
of,
Yeah,
6 p.m. bedtime every night, no matter what?
I feel like the rigidity of having like a super, super set structured schedule can be really limiting for a lot of families and can turn people off of sleep consulting and like sleep training. So I have kind of like an 80-20 approach. So if we can get like 80% of the time we have that consistency, that routine, that can like predictability for your little one, then we have 20% of the time we can have some leeway, like some late nights, some like variations in the schedule. Um,
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, like you said, like little ones aren't experiencing lots of like nighttime activities, but if they have older siblings, they might get like towed along for a baseball game
Yeah.
or something. And I think like when we have kids, they kind of just fall into like our lifestyle and our patterns to a certain degree. Like we do want to honor their sleep needs as much as we can, but it's not ever going to be perfect. And I never want families to feel like they're striving for this like level of perfection. I just think like as long as we're trying, we're making progress, we're trying to be as consistent as possible, and we're honoring sleep needs the best that we can, then we're doing a good job. So,
That,
yeah.
you sound very supportive.
Yeah, and I honestly think like I'm not one to live by a super rigid schedule. Like I like consistency and I like that like understanding and like having the effort of like making sure I'm meeting my kids' sleep needs, but I'm not going to like miss out on making memories in order to like have perfect sleep.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and summer's
Yeah.
such a fun time too. Like we have so much winter in Alberta that we
Right.
enjoy summer. So,
Yeah.
yeah. In terms of like with little ones, oftentimes there's like baby rhyme time or like other activities. So I think like just finding a good balance where you can like maybe go to some of those activities throughout the week, but then also like maybe choose other ones at an ideal time in your child's like napping schedule so that you can still have a good balance. Because if you don't get enough of the daytime sleep balance, nighttime just gets so thrown off. It's such a like a scale almost. Like you have to balance daytime sleep needs so you're not going into bedtime super overtired and then having a really challenging night.
Yeah. I was notorious for being that mom. I was so young when I had my kids, so I would be like, let's go do something fun and stay up all night. And then I'd be like, why are you so cranky the next day, right? They're like, why are you going to bed on time? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, never put the connection together, I guess. Like when I was younger, that if you keep them out all night on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you can't expect them Sunday morning, like Sunday, to go right back into routine, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, until they got older, we didn't have a lot of like scheduled activities like on during the week. So the week we were pretty consistent, but the weekends come and I was like, "You're four, we can do an all-nighter. You're good."
And so much is like child dependent. Like some kids would totally roll with that and be okay. And also,
Yeah,
I like when I'm working with my families, I also kind of get a vibe of how my parents are in terms of like their love of a schedule, love of a routine, love of consistency, because just like with our kids, like we all are going to feel differently about those things. And
Right.
some can do really well with it, and then some just like do not. And so it's really hard when you're like an easy go with the flow kind of parent, but your child like really needs that consistency and needs to like have that like scheduled time for sleep so that they can thrive. So that's
Yeah.
like, a really big challenge for some families, but for the most part, I think like our kids just kind of fall into place into like our lifestyle. And as we have more kids, that becomes even more true.
Yeah. Yeah. I was pretty lucky. My kids sometimes would be just like, I'm going to bed. You stay up, mom. I can't anymore. I'm going to bed. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I love
I
that.
have one question.
Yeah.
You work with like up to the age of 5, right? So
Mhm.
how does taking naps away at like 2 years old or 3 years old affect their sleep really? Because some parents will want to take away a nap because then they sleep at night, whereas the kids obviously need a nap during the day. So how would that affect their sleeping with it too? Is it okay to take it away at such an early age? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so when you're trying to decide when to take away the nap, I would look for like some specific signs, and I would look for over a period of like 2 weeks that you're seeing this consistently. So we're looking for things like nap is pushing bedtime way later. You're looking to see like how are they even handling their nap? Are they going to sleep when they're laid down, or are they just like staying in their crib, playing, chatting to themselves, those kind of things? There's like lots of other factors that we kind of look at when it comes to like when to drop a nap. Usually kids drop a nap right around 3 years old, and that's also when they transition typically from a crib to a bed, unless they're like trying to climb out of their crib earlier. Then for safety reasons, I would say like it'd be better to move to a bed a little bit earlier. But sleep pressure is so, so important for adequate nighttime sleep. So if the nap is throwing off that sleep pressure and pushing bedtime back too far or causing lots of challenges throughout the night, then it's a good idea to first shorten the nap and then to drop it altogether if things aren't improving after a few weeks of having shortened the nap. So I would at least drop it to like an hour before cutting it completely. Because one sleep cycle is 45 minutes for a child. So we want to give them at least that one sleep cycle. And it takes time to go to sleep. Like we don't just lay our head on the pillow and then just go to sleep instantly. I mean, if we do, that's like a sign that we're pretty exhausted. We've got some sleep debt that we need to like kind of figure out and sort out.
Unless you're a man, right? Men seem
I
to just
know.
do that. I don't get that.
I know. I'm so jealous of how fast my husband goes to sleep, but I'm like, you really should go to bed earlier because you're falling asleep so
Right?
fast. Like
Yeah.
it's not maybe the healthiest thing. We should have about 5 to 10 minutes of like time in between us laying our head down on the pillow and falling asleep. That's like a good like sleep onset kind of timeline.
Sometimes for my husband, I'm like, did you even lay down? Like, had you even gotten to bed yet? How did that happen? And me, I'm like 3 hours of tossing and turning, and I just want to
Oh,
like smack him. Why are you asleep already?
I know. And then when they snore, you're like, that makes it even
Oh
harder.
my God. Yeah. Oh, I could go
So true.
off on a tangent, but I will not.
Totally fair. Oh my goodness.
What is the number one thing parents do that can cause sleep issues?
That's a good question. So I never want to label anything with sleep as good or bad or like make parents feel like they're the cause of their child's sleep challenges, just because sleep is so emotional and it is so intense and like emotionally intertwined. And so when I look at sleep, I think about it as like sustainable or unsustainable in like the whole long-term spectrum of things. I will say that the common sleep props that I help families overcome are co-sleeping, feeding to sleep, and holding or rocking, and then transferring into the sleep space that they're in, like a crib or a bed. And those are things that, yeah, in the moment they can work and they can be great. And then as time goes on, as babies develop, they become more aware of their environment, their surroundings. They're more in tune with like when they are transferred to the crib, then they'll wake up. Those are kind of the times when families decide like, okay, this isn't working anymore. I don't know exactly what to do from here forward. And that's when they usually reach out to me. So. I would
Okay.
say like never blame yourself for your child's sleep situation. It is not a determinant of how good of a parent you are. Yeah, sleep is such a complicated and like in-depth thing, and there's so many factors that play into it. And so there's no
Yeah.
in like blaming yourself and feeling hard on yourself about it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely support.
I know as a provider, the time that my heart just drops is when mom says, "Yeah, so I to get them to sleep, you have to hold them and rock them the entire nap time."
It's
I'm
so
like,
hard.
"Oh, no, no, we're not going to do that." Like, so this is going to be difficult for us because then like, it feels like we do the sleep training
Hmm.
for them, especially during nap time, and then they go home and mom wrecks it again.
Yeah.
So, like not intentionally. I don't I'm jokingly like
Yeah.
they wreck it, right? But because they rock them to sleep again and then they come back the next day and we have to do it all over again. It's like,
I
please stop.
It's really interesting too how kids can pick up on sleep being different in different scenarios or situations.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sometimes kids will sleep awesome at daycare and then they'll come home and parents are like, why is my kid not sleeping? Like, is the daycare log even accurate? Like, they said that they slept for 2 hours, but we've never seen a 2 hour nap at our house. And
Yeah.
so kids kind of pick up on that. And then I also feel like there's like this positive social peer pressure too. When other kids
Yes.
are sleeping, they're like, oh, well, what else is there to do? Like, I guess I'll sleep too. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
mhm.
sometimes I think too, it could be like I painted the walls like a dark, dark blue. So, and I run my day home from my basement. So windows covered, like with curtains, whatever. So then when you turn the light out, it's almost pitch black in there. And
Mhm.
so I find the kids fall asleep so quick.
Yeah,
And right, there's like a little noise machine going on. And I've got kids that I'm like, hey guys, it's been 3 hours. Wake up. Like, what's going on? And then they go home and their parents are like, yeah, they just don't sleep. And I'm like, it could be because they're sleep because their room is too light. Yeah, they do definitely have like we can do this at this place, and then this is how I sleep at or don't sleep at home.
exactly. Yeah. And that sleep environment is so crucial to getting good sleep as well. So really creating like a dark environment, using a sound machine can help block out some environmental sounds. And when it comes to the sound machine, I really like a low tone, consistent, even like brown noise rather than like
Oh,
nature
okay.
sounds or like heartbeat or anything that has like fluctuation in like melody or tone. Just because like when there is those fluctuations in frequency and whatnot, it keeps our brain almost like in a slightly active state. So we're not able to like truly like lean into that full sleep experience because our
Okay.
brain is kind of still like on guard in a certain degree. Or
Oh, that's good to know.
yeah.
What's brown tone?
So
Sorry,
yeah, no, that's a great
I've never
question.
had a sleep machine before.
Yeah,
No.
they've come out with so many different variations of sounds that come in these sound machines, which is amazing. So parents can really have the chance to choose like what they want. And some even have different settings where you can have like a sound that they're sleeping with all night. And then at a certain time, like the sound changes to alert the child to like wake up on time. So with white noise, there's like variations of colors. So like white, brown, and it's all just pink. There's all just different kinds of like levels of frequency to the tone. So brown noise is like a really low tone, kind of like deep, kind of low grade, consistent sound. And I really
Okay.
love that because it's just
Can you give us an example? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. We did this in our last
I could
podcast, and I had Joanne growling. So I'm joking.
I mean I could try and pull up my kids like on my app on my phone to the
No,
app.
it's okay. I was joking.
But it's not really like that high pitched, like staticky, like white noise that sometimes we think of when we initially think of that. I almost think of it like kind of like an airplane, like low, kind of like rumble.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
am feel
Joanne,
yeah,
can
go.
you show us?
No.
Is it like?
Just like that, yeah.
And you have to find what works for you guys too. Like as like in families, like some people just don't love the white noise, and so like they don't use it, and that's totally their choice. But it just helps like block out some of the environmental sounds. Like maybe your neighbor has a diesel truck and they start it at 5 a.m. every morning, and like if that noise wasn't there to kind of buffer out the truck sound, your baby might wake up. Or maybe you have
Yeah,
a dog that barks, or you have older kids and they're running around, and so it kind of helps protect that sleep environment a little bit more. So you can.
So I had a friend who, this was a very long time ago, just over 20 years ago. She had a baby, and the only thing that her baby was colic, and the only thing that would help her baby sleep was the sound of the blow dryer.
Oh,
So this was like back in the, tape days where
uh-huh.
you would record, and so she would record the blow dryer going, and that's the only way her daughter would sleep.
Yeah, I've heard the same with vacuum cleaner as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
It's kind of cool.
I feel so bad. I actually play the radio.
There you go, some techno.
So now I'm feeling like I need to buy a sound machine. I totally just have it on just a regular radio station, and but the kids
Well, if it works,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and you know what? If it's
Fine.
working, no need to rock the boat. Like, just keep with it. If the kids are sleeping, go with it.
yeah. I just feel a little bad now.
No, don't. Well, they're still getting rest and it's still restorative. And if they're able
Yeah.
to sleep, then that's a win. And like, I don't know, maybe it's kind of entertaining. Maybe that's what some kids need to like kind of listen to kind of unwind a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I work with my families, I definitely always suggest using kind of like a sound machine to kind of filter out some of that other environmental noise.
Right. It always confused me when parents are like, the house has to be perfectly quiet.
I
Like
know.
they can't have the TV up, or like they have to speak really quiet.
Oh,
And maybe I'm just a mean Gen X mom, but my kids slept through, like, we have surround sound,
hmm.
and we would watch movies and have it loud. And I mean, their bedroom was
Yeah.
right next to that room.
I was the same. I wanted to make sure they could sleep through noise,
Yeah.
right?
I would go in
It
their
was the
bedrooms and vacuum because I was clean, and they were asleep, and but they would, I mean, my youngest was probably not asleep because he never slept, but my oldest definitely like did not
Mhm.
even flinch when I opened the door and went in with the vacuum. So I'm like, I could not imagine having to keep the house quiet.
Yeah, and I think that that's like not ideal or like realistic for so many families. Um,
Exactly.
Same thing with like your baby is born into like your family unit and they learn to adapt. Like that's the thing, kids are
Yeah,
so adaptable too. And so we really
exactly.
need to lean into that and also just trust that they can do it. I think sometimes we underestimate their abilities when it comes to what they can and can't do.
Oh, 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah.
My son, a tornado can go through and he slept through it like nothing. Now he's awake every hour.
Oh boy.
Does a bedtime snack really affect a child's sleep? Because there's a lot of back and forth with this.
Yeah.
Even my own son.
Uh-huh. So it kind of depends on the child's age. So when we're looking at like babies that are breastfed or formula fed, definitely important to like have a feed before bed up until like a certain age, like when you would phase out that milk feed with like a actual like solids food kind of feed. So I feel like one way or another, it's really important that we eat before bed so that we're meeting our calorie totals for the day and that we're not like having wake ups happen because of hunger throughout the night. And obviously, this
Right.
is so age dependent because certain ages do need to still feed throughout the night. It's just kind of structuring those feeds maybe a little bit more so it's not like every wake up results in a feed because sometimes kids can just wake up every 45 minutes, like which is one sleep cycle. And that can be really exhausting. And that's a lot of feeds in a night.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it comes down to like their age, if they're gaining weight well, if doctor has said that like it's okay to pull night feeds. But overall, I would say having something to eat before going to bed is a good thing because it helps fill the tummy, keeps them fuller longer, and then there's less of these middle of the night wakes, hopefully, so that their body actually has time to rest and digest. So if we think about like all of the energy it takes to digest food, if we're pouring all of our body's energy into digesting food, all the really important things that are happening in like deep sleep and in REM sleep, all of that energy is kind of getting subdivided. So, in deep sleep is when our body physically grows. So that's when most of our growth hormone is produced from our brain. And so we really want to like lean into that, and also time when like our body cells repair. So if we're fighting a cold or an illness or a bug of any kind, that's where our body's working so hard to tackle that. And we don't want to take away that focus and that energy into like digesting food. But also choosing the right kind of snack is like really important too. So if we're at an age and stage where we're doing more of like a solid snack before bed versus like a milk feed, then you'd want to choose something that has like a healthy fat, a complex carb, and maybe like a protein worked into it for nice full happy belly throughout the night. And then also just avoiding any foods that could trigger like some sensitivities or allergies or gas. So trying
Right.
those really like challenging foods because we don't want to make that bedtime snack into like a discomfort for the bedtime sleep.
I know my son's older, so he's 8, but like the doctor told us that we should be stopping snacks before bed at least 2 hours before, so that way he had time to digest it. And I was like, but doesn't it help him sleep a little more too? Because this kid doesn't sleep. He's gonna drive me insane.
I wonder if maybe there's reasons behind why he's not sleeping, if like there is some kind of like digestive discomfort or like gas or skin irritation, because food is so impactful on our overall health and it reaches so much further than what I think we even give credit to. So I can understand that idea of like giving him 2 hours to like rest and digest, but also like how is he eating throughout the whole day? Like, is he getting all the calories that he needs? Like, 8 is a time of like a lot of growth and development, like physical growth and cognitive development. So,
Totally. We think he might have ADHD. So
okay. Yeah.
it plays it. So like last night he had like 4 slices of pizza right before he went to bed. And he didn't go to bed till like 8:39 and he was still up at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's so hard.
So I was just curious how the sleep, like the food goes hand in hand before. Because some people say, oh, you can't feed him before bed, but some people say you can. So does it really affect it?
Yeah, I would say it's huge on like the age of the child and then also kind of like parenting goals too. Because if we want to like have a baby at a specific age like sleep through the night and it's like expected developmentally that they can accomplish that, then we'd want to really like make sure that they're going into bed with a full belly so that they're not waking because of hunger. Because a lot of those wakes in the middle of the night are habit driven rather than hunger at a certain age and stage. And so
Yeah.
if we can just like eliminate the hunger in our minds and like know that they're not waking because of hunger, then we can address the habits of those wakings.
Yeah. And for ADHD kids, like it's so hard to shut their brain down. So sleep is almost impossible for them. We did find caffeine supposedly has like the opposite effect for ADHD brains.
Oh,
So when my youngest was little and we were trying to get him to go to sleep, we would give him Coke,
uh-huh.
like the pop, not the
Cook-
drug.
oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, that sounds
Glad you
terrible.
clarified.
Yeah. Yeah. So and he would go to sleep. That was
Interesting.
like, I mean, I drink tea before bed to go to sleep. Like, so with the caffeine, it makes me tired and sleepy. I remember when he went to sleep at his grandma's and she's like text me, she's like, he will not go to sleep. I'm like, just give him a can of Coke. He'll go to sleep. And she was like, absolutely not. Pop has sugar, it makes them hyper. I'm like, no, but it won't. He will go to sleep. And she would not believe me. So I just texted his brother. I'm like, give him some Coke so he'll go to sleep. And so he did. And then he went to sleep. I mean, he woke up 4 times in the middle of the night, but that was normal for him. But he at least could get to sleep initially.
Mhm.
So give him a can of Coke, Cash, see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You never know. Like some crazy things people are bringing out there right now. The latest trend is like having kids eat butter before bed. So
That's
like
just gross.
But I mean, I put the butter on the
Put it
counter, and my daughter's
cracker.
the one that's like fingers deep in the bucket trying to eat it. So I get it. I get it.
I would say for your 8-year-old, maybe even doing some like relaxation exercises before bed might be really helpful. There's a site called Relax Kids, or you can even just do like kind of like a guided story meditation. Or there's a great little product on the market. I have to go in and look at what it's called, but it's like this little turtle, and you push a button and it walks you through like kind of like a guided meditation. And that can be like a
That's
really good
cool.
unwind for
I
kids.
might look into that turtle because we do like the calm lights and everything, and like I do give him time to read a book in his bed, or he'll
Yeah.
talk to his sister a little bit, but he's still up for like a whole hour after he's in bed.
Yeah.
And it's one of those repetitive things where he's like, I love you over and over again, almost like he forgot if he said it, and then he's worried that he didn't say it.
Mhm.
Pretty much his mind just doesn't stop kind of thing. So I'm like trying to get him to.
Yeah. I'm just looking up to see what it's called. I cannot recall for the life of me. Oh, it's called the Zenimal. Zenimal.
That's
And
cool.
I don't have one, but they have a mama card that you can put into the turtle too. So they have different cards that you input into the turtle, and then it does the meditations or it does the relaxation things. But they have a mama card, and I'm like, ooh, I kind of want that for myself. So like
Right?
I can just chill out before bed. Because I feel like sometimes our brains are just so busy, and like they're like a ping pong ball that you throw into a glass box and you close the lid and it's just bouncing around everywhere, and you've got all the things going
Yeah.
on in your day. And when I look, like when I talk about sleep with my families, I talk about it like our kids are experiencing their five senses throughout the whole day. And it's like we're filming a movie. And at nighttime is when we edit. When we sleep, our brain is editing that whole film. And we get
Yep.
to decide, like, our brain decides, like, what is important that we're going to keep, and like consolidating memories and experiences. And a lot of that is like connected to emotion too. And then what can we like let go of? And so sleep is like a really big editing and organization space. And that's why we really want to work to protect it, because there is just so much going on. The things that they see, the things that they hear, taste, feel, all of it. It all comes together.
That's a good
Yeah.
way of looking
Yes.
at it, though.
Yeah, it's a lot to process at the end of the day. So, especially when we have like neurodivergent minds too, like it's even more because we're taking on so many different tangents.
Yep. And if all else fails, tell them to listen to true crime podcasts. That's what I do.
Well,
Calming.
he's so much like me because I don't sleep either. So like the moment I roll, I'm awake. I roll over, I'm awake. He's the same way. He gets up, he goes to the bathroom, and he's awake for like an hour, and I'm like, I don't know what else to do.
I would
He
also
was he was my sleeper. Now he's like my one that's up in the middle of the night all the time.
I would also look at like how much time he spends outside and how much time he spends on a screen and like doing physical activities. I find that boys need a lot more like physical output to build that sleep pressure so they have a good rest versus girls. So that might be something to kind of think about too, is like, is he in like any like sports programs, or like is he physically active and moving a lot throughout the day? Is he getting sunlight exposure?
I'm pretty picky on their iPads.
Okay.
So they only get like 2 hours a day tops usually. Otherwise, they're out doing everything else. I'm like, no, you go do something else
Yeah.
because the attitudes come with the iPad. So I'm like,
100%. Yeah.
no.
Yep.
And he doesn't get it before bed because I do know that sometimes
That's
getting it before bed can kind of like stimulate. That's what I mean. We try everything with him. So I'm like, I don't know. We will try this turtle though.
okay. Yeah. The
He likes holding things. He likes touching things. So it's easier than just listening to it.
Uh-huh. You know what you could also do is you could have it like have him listen to it, and then you could get like kind of like a fidget or something that he could play with like while he's listening to it. There's a great store in Okotoks called Monkey Mountain, and they have like really unique toys, and you could like go in, and I could spend hours in there, and I'm an adult and I just like want to look at all these toys. But they have this really awesome, it's like a gumdrop, but it's kind of like a resistant squishy, and it has like a texture on it. I love that. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD too, just like not diagnosed. And so
Me too.
I
Me
love like
too.
having something in my hand or like talking with my hands. So I always like to kind of like keep my hands busy. So that might be something too that you could like look at doing, and like you could even just like unwind with him. If you didn't want to make an investment into like the Zenimal, you could just like chat about the day. You could even do it from like a story perspective, like where you're telling his story of his day and he like corrects you where you're maybe like got something inaccurate, or like you could have him fill in the blanks and then have him like squish this little like, I don't know, I call it the gumdrop. It's like it's cute like little gumdrop, and they come in different colors and they're textured and it's like resistant. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I co-slept with all my children.
Mhm.
Do you find co-sleeping has any effects on a child's sleep?
Yes and no. So oftentimes when I have a family come to me and they're a co-sleeping family, they're just getting to the point where their little one is just so restless or like so mobile that it feels like no longer like anyone's getting sound quality sleep. Or baby's getting really good sleep, but mom's not getting good sleep, or dad's not getting good sleep. Or they're just getting to the point where they're too mobile and parents are worried that like baby's gonna like fall off the edge of the bed, or like the child will get out of the bed and do something in the middle of the night, like in the house that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And so oftentimes like when I work with families that have previously co-slept, it's just because things are getting restless and like unsustainable. So for some kids, co-sleeping can work great and there are no issues or no troubles and it works good for a family. But then sometimes it's like not always the easiest. So when I do work with my co-sleeping families, sometimes babies are a little bit, it takes a little bit longer for things to like adjust and for them to accept the changes that we're making around sleep. But for the most part, we can still see like same great success, even if it just takes a slower or a little bit longer timeline to reach the goals that we have. And that's not always the case. Like some kids like just jump on board right away and they're like, yeah, okay, I can handle this change. They just like the consistency of like knowing like, okay, if it's going to change, is it going to like be consistent in how we've changed it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have like no hate against like co-sleeping. Like,
I was gonna say, I'm like, is it something that you would not like? You just like, nope, do not co-sleep with your child, or are you more flexible with that?
yeah, I'm definitely more flexible. I think every parent has to do what feels right for them and like what feels safe. And obviously, like there are like those like safe seven guidelines for co-sleeping. So that's also something to consider. So I would just make sure that like you check in with your heart of hearts and know like if you are creating like the safest environment doing co-sleeping and you feel good about it, then I would say, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. But I personally don't take on families that want to continue co-sleeping.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
from a safety
Oh,
standpoint, I don't want to
right.
be like held liable or responsible. And
Absolutely.
my goal is to like help with independence with sleep, and co-sleeping is like a certain level of dependency with sleep. And so it kind of works against the goals that I have in working with my families. Yeah.
Perfect. Great answer.
I know you touched base about this a little bit, but do you see more boys needing help with sleep than girls?
You know, it's so funny that you ask that because I was actually just pondering that recently. I was going through like all of my previous clients, and I would say the majority are actually girls that I work with.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know exactly why or like what is the reasoning behind that, but I just feel like most of my families that I work with are with little girls. I obviously have worked with families that have little boys, and sleep challenges are not specific to gender. But yeah, for some reason, I just have lots of little girlies that I work with.
It's their personalities.
Probably, yeah. You know what? I have
That's
one girl and two boys, and so far my girl has been my hardest with sleep.
My second is a girl, and she was the hardest too. Like 3 months, I'd put her in her own room because she was just up every hour. Like you sneeze, and she was awake, and I was like,
Yes.
nope. But she's my best sleeper now too. So
Okay, good, good. Yeah, sometimes you pay your dues in the early stages and then it like pays off later and it's good. And then sometimes like things are just really challenging for much longer than families think they will be, and then they reach out later. And so there's really no like wrong time to like seek support when it comes to sleep. Because yeah, kids can be really hard, and temperament and personalities all play into it.
especially when they have FOMO.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
What is that?
Fear of
fear of
missing out.
missing out.
I had to Google it when mom
Okay, got
told me
it.
that this kid had FOMO, and I was like, FOMO, I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is. And
They just
Got it.
they
It's
don't
a
want to
true
miss out
story.
on anything. They feel like if there's a party to be had, they want to be attending it too. So I think some kids are just more biologically wired to be early risers or to be kind of night owls. And yeah, we can work to try and create like this ideal or like family-based ideal schedule, I guess, in a sense. Like, but they'll always kind of try and come back to their own like personal body clock. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so my youngest son struggled with sleep so much. He had horrible nightmares and night terrors. He didn't actually start sleeping through the night consistently until he was 8. And he only did that because so we got a new dog and we brought him home and he went right to my youngest, was like, get it pawing at him to pick him up and stuff. So then he slept in my son's room and that night he slept through the night and he continued to sleep through the night like the whole time when we
that's
had that dog. But he would like sleepwalk and have all these nightmares and stuff. So what can parents do to help their kids that suffer from, I know night terrors and nightmares are different, but
yeah.
what can you do to parents do to help kids that are suffering from that?
Yeah, that's awesome. A really good question. So I guess it would be helpful to kind of differentiate what the difference between a nightmare and a night terror is. So a nightmare is like simply a bad dream. So you
Yeah.
can wake a child from a nightmare, or not even, you don't even have to really wake them. They will wake up from that and they'll be able to explain to you what they've experienced in their dream. And you'll be able to kind of comfort and work to kind of mitigate that discomfort and that emotional like response in them. But when it comes to night terrors, they're very much still asleep. And this is in the deep sleep, so stage 3. So we have 4 stages of sleep. And so deep sleep is stage 3. And that's when parasomnias like night terrors, sleepwalking, sleep talking, those kind of things happen. So oftentimes when I see families that struggle with night terrors, there's a couple factors that can kind of play into that and things that parents can kind of do to try and help that situation. So oftentimes night terrors happen either because a child is overheated, so they're just too hot. So we can put them
Okay.
in cooler pajamas. We can bring like an air conditioning unit into the room or a fan, introduce some kind of way to kind of like cool down their body temperature so they're not going into that cycle of night terrors. Another thing that I see often with night terrors is that they're going into bedtime overtired. So when we're overtired, it's kind of the enemy of good sleep. And so we want to do our best to kind of have that good balance of like not going into bed too overtired, but enough sleep pressure to sustain a good night's sleep. And then there's
Right.
just like a hereditary factor that can happen with night terrors. So if a parent has struggled with night terrors or any other parasomnias, like bedwetting or sleep talking, sleepwalking, those kind of things, they all fall into the same category, then it's more likely that a child will also experience those things. So there are
Okay.
some things you can kind of try and do, but a lot of it is kind of out of your hands in a sense. And so we never want to try and wake a child from a night terror. We just want to ride it out
Right.
because they are still asleep. And so
Yeah.
no reasoning with them at that point. So we just kind of wait it out and then see what we can do for the rest of the night to try and get them more comfortable.
He used to do it in school as well. He would fall asleep in class because he just was not getting the sleep he needed like at night. And
Yeah.
so he would fall asleep in class, but he would sleep with like his eyes open.
Mm.
And his teacher would get all freaked out and because he would start saying things and then she would be like, no, no, you can't interrupt or whatever. And he would just continue to speak or get up and walk around. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's okay, he's asleep. I'm like, just let him, lead him back to his desk. And she was like, what? And I'm like, no, no.
Strange thing for
Like
families
he's
that
just
don't experience.
sleepwalking, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was tough because especially having to explain to his kindergarten teacher and his grade 1 teacher and his grade 2 and his grade 3. He's just falling
It's
asleep in
okay,
your
let
class. I'm
him sleep.
sorry.
Yeah, and deep sleep, where those things happen, like they are in such deep sleep is called deep sleep for a reason. It is the deepest stage of sleep that we're in, as we cycle
Yeah.
4 stages. And so it's really hard to like wake them from that, and we don't want to. And so we just have to kind of ride it out, like you said.
Yeah. Do you know if there's any connection with like the night terrors and the nightmares and stuff and like lucid dreaming? Like, do they go hand in hand? Like,
So dreaming actually happens in the last stage of sleep, which is the REM stage, so stage 4.
mhm.
And that REM stage, it's interesting. So deep sleep, you'll probably notice that night terrors will kind of correlate with the first half of the night more so than the second half of the night. So deep sleep is longest from 7 p.m. till midnight. That's where like our body's really working to restore and regenerate those cells, and heal, and growth hormone is being released. And then REM sleep, where we dream, that's like responsible for creativity, learning, and memory consolidation. That actually
Right.
starts out in shorter spurts as we cycle through. And then as we continue through the night, closer to morning when we wake up, that's when we get our longest stretches of REM sleep. So
Okay.
that's where like all the dreaming kind of happens. So you'll notice maybe more of those night terrors are happening in like the 7 to midnight-ish timeline for the most part.
Right.
We still have deep sleep as we cycle through, even in the later parts of the night, like from like 12 all the way till we wake up in the morning. But those stages
Yeah.
are shorter. So you could still experience a night terror after midnight, but it's just that deep sleep phase is a shorter phase as you continue on your night. So
Okay. And then those that experience the night terrors and nightmares and stuff, is there a connection with the lucid dreaming as far? Because not everybody does the lucid dreaming, right? So is there a connection with that?
you know what, I'm actually not sure, but for a child that's experienced a nightmare or a night terror, it feels very real.
Mhm. But like the whole controlling the dream part, I just didn't know if there was a connection
You know, I'm actually not
with
sure
that.
if there is.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
be curious to know if
Interesting.
there is or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To this day, he still lucid dreams, and so do I. But like we thought that's how everybody dreamt. Like we had no idea that it was a thing, like that it was different. So, but we both suffered from like night terrors and nightmares. So I'm like, well, maybe there's a connection. Like if you do that as a kid, then you,
Probably
I don't know,
is.
whether your brain learns to lucid dream or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, then maybe there is a connection. I'm not sure of anything like particularly, but yeah, I'd be really curious and interested to know.
Yeah,
Something to look into.
someone, yeah, someone needs to do a sleep study or something, or
Yeah,
however those work, right?
yeah, definitely.
Do you find weighted blankets help kids with sleep issues?
So weighted blankets have been a topic of controversy lately in the whole sleep community. So
Oh, interesting.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recently came out and stated that they don't advise using any weighted materials for children with sleep. So they have like baby sleep sacks that are weighted, and they're recommending not to use them for a number of reasons. So I was looking more into it, like for all the reasons that they recommend not using it. The biggest one that I kind of thought of initially was that it limits mobility, which is like a huge part of learning how to self-soothe. So like getting into a
Okay.
comfortable sleep position, being able to move freely, using hands or feet to kind of like self-soothe. A lot of times kids will like kind of rock a little bit or like pat their legs or their feet on their crib mattress as a way to kind of self-settle and like to get themselves to sleep. And so having a weighted sleep sack or a weighted blanket would limit that mobility. It
Right.
also says the AAP also said that it can be a challenge because it can increase body temperature. And so that can cause more challenges too. And then those baby sleep sacks that are weighted, they mentioned about making it more challenging for breathing and therefore like less oxygen intake over a period of the night can be detrimental to some degree for some kids. So,
Right.
yeah.
Is it the same with older kids as well? Like, or is it just an infant?
I think it's more just like on the infant and younger child spectrum, but weighted sleep
Okay.
weighted sleep aids were like a huge thing, like even just like 10 years ago. Like they were kind of
Yeah.
craze that everyone was going through. And I know a lot of adults even purchased blankets, and there was like a calculation of body weight percentage to like how much weight you should have for a sleep product, like a
Yeah.
blanket or a sack or whatnot. So I think that they have a place in like adult sleep and like maybe with teenagers, but I would try and just avoid them for like babies and children just to play it safe. I don't know. I just feel like the standards are constantly changing as we learn new information. But at the end of the day, parents just need to feel it out, do their research, and choose what feels right for them in their situation too. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
If you could give one piece of advice to new parents to help prevent any sleep problems, what would it be?
I would suggest just try and do your best to prevent overtiredness. So when babies are new, we're looking at wake windows, which is just a period of time that they can handle being awake before they need their next sleep session. So
Okay.
that's either a nap or bedtime. And I would just really like watch the clock for that and watch sleepy cues too. Sleepy cues can be really hard though to determine because so many other things can mimic being tired. Boredom is a big one that can mimic being tired. So just looking at like what is age appropriately kind of like a general window of time that a child would start to get tired for their age and stage, and then just trying to lean into that. So that'll be probably the biggest way to kind of prevent overtiredness. And then as they get older, we're looking less at wake windows and more of kind of like a set clock scheduled timing for naps. And obviously like a little bit of leeway here and there on those. But yeah, I would say just working your best to try and prevent overtiredness and then just trying to be as consistent as you can in whatever approach you take when it comes to sleep. Having a routine is a big one too. So those are like kind
Yeah.
of my top three, I would say.
Okay. Interesting. It's funny every time someone yawns, right? And people are like, "Oh, you must be tired." It drives me crazy. I'm like, people yawn for other reasons too.
Oh, yeah,
So,
so true. Even talking about it makes me want to yawn right now.
right? And being asthmatic, I yawn all the time, right? Because it's just a lack of oxygen, right?
It is
So
100%.
something I constantly do. I remember my mom used to be like, "Oh, if you're that tired, you should go to bed." I'm trying to breathe. Like, I'm not tired.
100%. Yeah, like the physiological reason that we yawn is to bring in more oxygen. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I just saw this reel on Instagram. This is totally not relevant, but it was someone said, someone yawns and you don't yawn in response, then you're a psychopath. And so,
Honestly, even just saying the word makes me like, I feel like I gotta yawn.
right?
I know, me
Like,
too.
I'm like, don't do
And
it
so,
right now.
so then every time someone yawns, if I don't yawn in response, I'm like, oh, like I do that fake yawn because I'm like, I'm not a psychopath.
You're like, I promise
It's
I'm
just right. It just seems the funniest thing to me. I don't know. Because kids don't always do the response yawn, right? Like if
Yeah.
one kid's yawn, another like their friends watching them, they don't always yawn in response. So I'm like, uh-oh.
The learned behavior. I don't know.
Must be. Yeah. Yeah. It's and then some kids do it for as a stimming, right?
Yeah.
I know my youngest, he yawns often for stimming, and I'm like, stop it. Because every time you yawn to stim, I yawn in response.
Yes. You're like, now I'm stimming off your stims.
Right? Yeah. And
That's so Joanne.
it is. It is totally me.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
well, thank you so much for being here today. You have been great. We've loved having you. If parents out there would like to work with you or to get your help, and how do they reach out to you? How do they find you?
So I would say going to my website. So my last name is Phan. So my business is Fan of Sleep, like a play on my last name.
Love it.
Yeah. So fanofsleep.com is my website. I am wanting to like update it and make it a little bit more user friendly. My husband's really techie, so I have to recruit him to help me with that. But there is a place that you can book a free call with me. It's called the Discovery Call. And so we just use that as a chance to like chat about your situation and what your goals are. And then I get to share a little bit about how I work with families. And then I email you over information packet about all my packages and my offers, and then check in with families like a couple days later to see how they're feeling about things. So you can find me there on the website. I am somewhat active on Instagram and not as active on Facebook, but I had my Instagram and my Facebook linked. So if I posted in one, it would post in the other, but for some reason it delinked and it just killed my motivation to post in two
Oh
places.
no.
So
Yeah.
I post mostly on Instagram, and if I'm feeling up to it, I will copy that post and post it again in Facebook, but
Nice.
definitely more active on Instagram. And then you can also just send me an email at jenna@fanofsleep.com. So those are the ways that you can kind of get in touch with me.
Perfect. And we will put all that information in the show notes. It's been great having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful experience. I love connecting with different people and sharing my passion of sleep and just making it more sustainable for people to reach out and get the help that they need. I feel like so often families feel that like sleep support is out of reach financially or whatnot. And so I do offer like a sliding scale for families that feel that they really need it, like sleep would be otherwise unattainable. And I offer payment plans too. So people
Oh,
can
perfect.
and take that on. And I try and price my packages, even though they are longer than a lot of other consultants, them being like 2 weeks and mine being more like 4 to 6. I try and still
Right.
price my 4 to 6 weeks at what a lot of consultants do their 2 week packages for. So I give a lot
Nice.
of value and a lot of connection for the price point that it's at. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you know if any health insurance plans cover that?
Ooh, that one's tricky. Sometimes people can claim it through like a health spending account, depending on their company.
Right.
But in terms of like being claimed through like health benefits, not so much. There are a few sleep consultants that are also psychologists in the province of Alberta. And so
Oh, okay.
they can run their sleep services through psychology benefits, but their plans are structured or their support packages are structured very differently, like almost more
Gotcha.
in line with like what a psychologist support would look like. And so I
Okay.
don't know, and I can't speak to all of that, but I do know a few names of psychologists that are also sleep consultants. So if people wanted to
Okay.
get through benefits, there's definitely options out there and
Yeah.
local ones too, which is nice.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But definitely worth the investment, even if you have to pay out of pocket. So,
Right? I mean, sleep is so important. So,
100%. Yeah.
okay, well, that's it for Day Home Divas this week.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Day Home Divas, on TikTok at dayhome.divas, and join our Facebook group, Day Home Divas.
If anyone has any topics you want us to cover, or if you have any questions or suggestions, you can email us at dayhomedivas@gmail.com.
We would also appreciate it if you could rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps the podcast move up on their charts so it gets more exposure. I hope you join us again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.